Hi, and thanks for tuning in to this webinar on how to attract the talent you want for your company or organization. I appreciate you taking out a few minutes to get some information about how you can get the talented employees that you need for your organization. Now, I won't take up too much of your time, but I do just want to share some great strategies with you in regard to recruiting and attracting talented workers to your company. Now, if you're watching this video, then you are more than likely a very hardworking, dedicated hiring manager or owner at your company, and you're looking for solutions that work when it comes to attracting, recruiting, and hiring qualified, talented workers in the least amount of time possible. Well, you're in the right place. There'll be 3 takeaways today in this webinar. First, you're going to learn about some of your pain points, those recruitment traps that you continue to encounter when trying to find the people that you need for your open positions. Second, we're going to talk about the 3 common mistakes that many employers and hiring managers make inadvertently when looking for talent. We're going to review some solutions and remedies to these issues. Now, let's picture it. You've got an open position in your organization or company. You're looking for the right candidate. As a matter of fact, here's the office you're going to put that person in. There's your open position right there. Maybe you're not in an office setting. Maybe you're in a factory or manufacturing company, or maybe you're in a hotel or hospitality industry. You might be an education facility, a school, or you may even be a restaurant or a cafe. But you're looking for talented people. There's no difference when it comes to that. Every employer wants the best candidate for his or her position. So, what's the first thing you do? After you determine your vacancy, you begin to advertise. So you're out there advertising, you've put your ad on the job boards, you've put it on your website, you've put it on some other advertising websites. You may have even attended some job fairs. So you put your information out there, you are advertising hard, you're recruiting hard, and then after several weeks, possibly even a couple of months or longer, you still don't have the qualified applicant pool that you were expecting after doing all of that advertising. So what happened? Well, as a result of all of that time and energy and resources that you've put forth in this candidate search, you end up feeling like this, frustrated, because you're wondering, what do you do to find qualified candidates? You've done everything that you know to do. This is what companies do when you look for talented workers, right? Well, I know how you feel. I've been on both sides of the table. I'm Denise Nixon, CEO and owner of OneCore Workforce Solutions. I spent over 20 years in public education as a counselor, school administrator, and district level administrator in human resources. I've also spent some time in HR as a recruiter. I've also been the hiring manager and the HR leader. I now have my own company. For the past 2.5 years, I have worked with several companies in recruiting talented candidates. So I've been on both sides of the table. I know the frustrations, and I also know what the recruiters are doing out there to help bring those great candidates to you. I'm here to tell you, you are not alone in your frustration and in your efforts to find talented people, because I know that when you have exhausted all of your efforts, you hire recruiting firms and recruiting agencies and staffing agencies to take over that workload for you. And staffing agencies do a phenomenal job with getting out there and searching for candidates for you. But in this presentation, we want to address an issue that comes along with recruiting. And not only is it a challenge to recruit great people, but it's now becoming more and more of a challenge to retain great people. So we're just going to talk about a few strategies that I hope will help you in your recruitment efforts. Now, having been working in HR for going on about 15 years now, I've noticed 2 of the biggest recruitment traps for employers. I've encountered them personally as a hiring manager myself. The first recruitment trap is what I like to call hungry hiring. And you can tell in this picture, this guy is really hungry. Hungry hiring. Hiring managers want to fill the openings fast. You have an immediate need, you have an immediate opening, so you want to get the immediate great candidate to fill that position. So after you do the advertising and all of that, you may come across a candidate that may be a good fit for the job initially. Well, in that process of hungry hiring, sometimes hiring managers, they put forth little or no onboarding training or support for that new candidate coming in. This contributes to that problem of retaining great candidates. So within 6 months to a year, you're recruiting for more employees for those very same positions that you were trying to fill fast. All this does is increase your frustration. I've been there. I've also worked with companies who have gone through the hungry hiring syndrome, and they're so anxious to get that person in there that they sometimes skip mandatory processes that are outlined in their own company handbooks, like vital background checks, certain screenings that are delayed or skipped until the person gets on board. And you don't want to do that and put your company at risk for a possible liability. The second recruitment trap is the recruit or perish syndrome. Now, recruit or perish is something that a lot of companies go through as well. And by recruit or perish, I mean that the company is so focused on filling positions. Every time there's an empty position, there's no analysis or thought into why the person left. So the recruit or perish syndrome, it tends to cost companies time because they quickly recruit someone, and when they leave within 3 to 6 months, the focus is back on recruiting that person again, or that filling that vacancy. That costs the company time, it costs them money, and unfortunately, the ultimate cost is highly trained, skilled, and talented personnel that leave. According to the website HRDive.com, 1 out of 3 employees leave a job within 2 years of hire. Within 2 years. So if you're a larger organization, that can be quite a bit of turnover, quite a bit of recruiting, quite a bit of recruitment fees to agencies to help you find talented workers, and quite a bit of time and effort and frustration in the recruitment process. And constant turnover pressures employers to find replacements quickly and absorb the high costs involved. In exit interviews, it was found that the top reasons that survey respondents gave for leaving their jobs were career development, work-life balance, managers' behavior, compensation and benefits, and well-being. It was career development. And of course, we know that career development is that element where employees are learning on the job. Now, this goes beyond just funding a degree program to help your employees get a degree, because many companies have found that along with that provision, they are having to get the employees sign some sort of statement promising to stay with their company for a certain period of time so that they feel like they get a return on the investment of a degree. But companies have to invest in the value of the learning. Companies will have to look at what it is they're providing for their employees, because they've got to make sure that the employees value what they're learning and that they're able to apply that learning to their current job with an immediate result. Okay, let's talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that employers and hiring managers often make when it comes to recruiting talented people. So mistake number 1 is posting underperforming job ads. Number 1, sometimes the ads can be too long. You know, we want to get every element of the job position in that ad, but unfortunately, when people are looking for jobs, they don't read the entire ad, especially if it is a very long ad. They're going to catch a few keywords like the job title. They may glance at experience. If you've got a salary in there, they may look at that. If all of those seem to be in order, they're going to submit their resume. without reading the entire ad. So that may result in you getting a lot of unnecessary resumes that don't fit the qualifications you're looking for. A second error is that the ad does not contain basic information about compensation, benefits, and job duties. Applicants are looking for those key details. If they don't see them, they may skip your ad and continue to look at other job ads that do have that information. And finally, the ad may not be EEO compliant or Equal Employment Opportunity compliant. Seek out the advisement of your HR professionals or your legal staff at your company to make sure that your job ad does not violate any type of laws when it comes to employment advertising. And don't forget the power of a good, strong website or social media presence, because applicants, those top applicants that you're looking for, not only are you looking for a great employee, but they're looking for a great company. And if your information is updated and you've got the great points about your company easily accessible and people are easily able to find it online, either at your website or in your social media, then that will speak volumes about your company. Another solution may be to get creative with your job ad. Many companies have started making brief videos, almost like a commercial, about their job openings and putting them out in the media, maybe on their social media page or their website. And so, a video can get a lot of content in a relatively short period of time. Mistake number 2, long application processes. This can deter talented candidates very quickly. I have spoken with many candidates that I've worked with in recruiting for other companies that have told me that once they were referred to the company's website where they had to complete an online application, that the process was so long that they just did not finish it and moved on to another company's website to explore their openings. 60% of applicants, according to CareerBuilder, do not finish the long application process required by many companies. Think about that. That's 6 out of 10 on average. Some of the reasons that many applicants do not complete the application process in that lengthy process: asking for references too early. If someone's applying for a job, you don't necessarily need the references upon applying for the job. Many employers put this in there because they realize that once they get a good candidate's application, that it may become difficult to get that reference information after the fact. But if you think about it, some of those top candidates are applying for jobs while their current employer does not know that they're applying. So there's a risk in them listing certain references that you would like to speak with about their qualifications. Out of fear that you may reach out to their current employer, they may not complete the process. Another reason is that there's a requirement to create a profile. I'm sure you've seen them. Some websites where there are job openings require candidates or applicants to create a profile with their personal information before they can even apply for the job. They've got to create a password, they've got to create a username, they've got to put in lots of information that they may not be comfortable putting in. And this deters some candidates as well. Some websites even have long pre-assessments that they have to take before they can even move into the application process. And then there are some unnecessary screening questions that candidates are asked before they can even be considered for the job. So if a candidate's not qualified, they've done the application and they've done a long screening question or pre-assessment process. And once they get into that, they may decide that they don't even want to finish it, whether they're qualified or not. You also want to keep in mind technology today, that many candidates are completing online applications on their mobile phone. So can you imagine the patience and the endurance that they will have to complete a profile, get their reference information, do a long pre-assessment and answer some screening questions all on their cell phone. especially if they have a resume that they upload and then they have to go back and put in all the information that they've already submitted by resume. So this may increase frustration amongst applicants, and it may be weeding out some of those talented candidates that you really want to complete the process. So some solutions include having an applicant tracking system that can extract data from the resume. Ask only necessary questions that are pertinent to the job in terms of screening those applications. You may not need to know everything about that candidate, but get a few basic questions that will help you understand if this is a candidate that is worth moving forward in the process. And then another solution is, once you have the basic information on a candidate, you can screen that information and tell if this is someone that you want to learn more about. So then maybe have those screening questions as a second phase of the screening process instead of the initial phase, where it may scare off candidates to have to know they have to answer all of those questions before they even apply for the job. And finally, mistake number 3, not utilizing automation and technology. There are some companies out there who do not use any type of electronic or digital means in receiving application and resume information. So in other words, they may be still dealing with paper applications, or they may be asking candidates to email resumes to them without having a system of organization to determine when they receive this information and be able to organize it in a fashion that will allow them to effectively go back through the resumes and the applications to see who may be a match for their openings. So applicant tracking systems are a great way to organize data, and it's also a great way to document your interactions with applicants. If applicants need additional screening questions, it would be a great thing to be able to send that through the applicant tracking system, so this documents when you send that type information to them. Automation is a great way to have some positive PR with your candidates. I often hear complaints from applicants when they apply to a company that they never hear back from them, that they don't even acknowledge that they received their resume or application. If you have automations in place, you can have automatic emails that go out to candidates when they apply for your jobs, thanking them for their time in the application process, and you can also let them know what next steps are. This also helps companies communicate with their candidates, and most importantly, when it comes to recruiting, it helps companies build their own candidate pools. If you are advertising for a particular position and you receive 30 or 40 resumes, it would be great to be able to keep those resumes in an automatic or an electronic database so that you can search by keyword whenever you have different positions come open in your company at a later time. You've got candidates that applied already for previous positions. So this helps you become more control of your recruitment process. I hope this information was helpful to you, because we know how challenging and frustrating it can be to recruit talented candidates, but we also know how rewarding it is when you find that great candidate. The focus on retaining great candidates is just as important as recruiting them. To put the time and the effort and the energy into recruiting a great fit for your organization should be met with equal enthusiasm and energy into training and developing them into the best candidate and the best employee for your company. Your company deserves the best. So you want to recruit and train and retain the best and brightest. Thank you again for your time, and I appreciate your consideration in watching this webinar, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.